Microphones on mute. There will be time at the end to talk with us. If you have questions during the session, if you pop them into the chat box, that'd be great. And just to introduce ourselves, my name is Juliann Bergin. I've been working for Enable Ireland's Assistive Technology Training Service since 2008. So 13 years, so I've been there a good while at this point. We are a national service that provides services to Enable Ireland clients, but we also do lots of training events as well, such as the one you're doing today. We've moved a lot online over the last year. We will be talking a little bit about various technologies today, and if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free. We'll have our emails up at the very end, I think, and feel free to email one of us or both of us if you have any questions. So over to you, Mary, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Mary Relihan and I'm working with Enable Ireland for many years, but I just recently took up a post with the National Assistive Technology Service in October. So I do training and I'm involved in just looking at assistive technology and researching the developments there. So that's me.
Yeah, and just to say, I'm based in our Dublin offices in Sandymount and Mary is down in Kerry. So we've got a wide geographical spread going on here today. Just to pop on, just wanted to talk a little bit about what assistive technology is. This is one of the definitions that we often see out there. For most people, assistive technology makes things easier. For people with disabilities, however, technology makes things possible. This is from the 1980s, I think this definition came around. And it was designed to kind of show the power of assistive technology. For most of us, having a TV remote control is a luxury. It's kind of a nice thing to have. If we didn't have it, we could get up and try and find those little buttons under the rim of the TV and change channels. But for somebody who's got mobility, disability, standing up, walking around the coffee table, trying to find those buttons if they don't have good fine motor control can be really disabling. So just to show that it doesn't have to be something very specialized. It doesn't have to be something very expensive. It doesn't have to be something that is only suitable for one person. Assistive technology can mean lots of things to different people. Just on the next slide here, we have a more recent definition. This comes from last year from the World Health Organizations. And they are changing what they define as assistive technology. They're kind of trying to take a more holistic approach that's not just the technology, it's all the supports and services around it as well. So handing over a piece of equipment that worth a couple of €1,000 to somebody, but not training them in on it, not giving them an extended warranty, not giving them maybe the care staff or family members training on how to use it, how to set it up. It's useless if we don't have all that system and supports around the assistive technology. So the idea is that assistive technology at the end of the day will maintain or improve an individual's functioning. So whether that's accessing work, accessing education, independent living, leisure pursuits, whatever it is, it's about promoting well-being for everybody. So we're talking about assistive technology here today, but today we're kind of focusing on kind of more mainstream stuff, things that you might have access to already. You may be using them already. So we're talking mostly about smartphones and smart home technologies today. There is a huge amount more there, a lot more specialized equipment as well, which if you want information on, we're happy to come back and do another presentation for you at some point, but or if you have individual questions, as I say, please do get in contact as well. So I just want to show you a quick video. This was one recorded a couple of years ago for answering the question, what does assistive technology mean to you? So the idea behind this is various people are just talking about the technology they use. So we've got kind of teenagers up to adults here. And hopefully I ticked the share sound button. I can't check that here, can I? Hopefully it'll work. Please let me know if the sound does not come through.
Communication.
The technology let me access the computer more easily and help me do whatever I'm doing easier. And was amazing games. Gives me the ability to do stuff that I wouldn't normally do, so it gives me independence and freedom. I can do stuff when I want and how I want, and I'm more in control of what I want to do.
I always used Switch Access to play music and access my iPad. But since iGaze I can now pick my own notes and make my own melodies. iGaze is the way forward for me, as I can work more independently and not have to depend on people to connect switches, and I can access a lot more programs through iGaze. That has given me the confidence to go into a world I never thought possible.
So Owen, what do you think of your communication device?
I think it is great.
One of the difficulties that we always try to overcome is that we need third-party devices. If there was a chance that the thing is already inbuilt into the device, that there's no need to buy a very expensive piece of equipment to make it switch accessible or any other thing, that would be great.
So you can see in that video there that people are using it for lots of different things. And you can kind of see a lot of people are combining mainstream stuff. The first person there, Brian, was using the inbuilt on-screen keyboard within Microsoft operating system with a joystick. So it's combining mainstream with specialized. Ben, the person who's doing the gaming, was playing, I'm not up on my the game, so it was a mainstream racing game. I can't remember which one, but it was with a specialized controller. So it's kind of finding the way around things here. And Julio there at the end was talking about having stuff inbuilt. There's this whole concept of that universal design, that designing stuff from the get-go that will work for everybody, or have functionality and features in there that people can turn on and off as they need them. Just to be make it more accessible for everybody. Okay, Mary.
So following on from what Juliann mentioned there, you may ask, like, who can benefit from assistive technology? And like Juliann touched on there, so basically everyone and anyone can benefit from assistive technology. So anyone with a disability, anyone of any age, from preschool right through to adulthood, students with dyslexia, and we know that there's research now that's showing that it's helping other students as well. So it's not just specific for students with dyslexia. They've noted that, like Juliann had mentioned there, that universal design piece, that it's supporting everyone in the class. The aging population, so if you think of phones now with reminders on them to help with memory, magnifiers, they're all very supportive assistive technologies for people that are aging. Early school leavers, so people who might have left school because of literacy challenges are now using phones, and they're using voice recognition software to support their literacy skills. So it's assisting them. Your employees, so again there, if you have an employee with an RSI or repetitive strain injury, so assistive technology can come into play there. And even looking at it prior to getting the injury, looking at preventing acquisition of work-related injuries, so looking at that RSI and looking at your ergonomics, assistive technology can be a solution there. And also then retaining staff who acquire an injury. So straightforward, like automatic doors being put in, or high-low desks. So there's lots of assisted technology out there that can support people no matter what age or where they're at. Thanks. So then I suppose looking at technology trends over the years, I suppose in the last 10 years we've seen a huge growth in trends. Originally, back about 10 years ago, you had dedicated hardware, and that moved then to software being installed on mainstream PCs. I suppose with the development of mobile devices and app stores, we're seeing a different trend again. And this is just looking at making task-specific apps rather than suites of tools. Other mainstream trends which are really exciting at the moment is stuff like your wearable tech, your smart home devices. So they've also helped in making AT more mainstream and accessible for all. And I suppose that's because the cost has come down significantly. And as Juliann was saying, and one of the guys there in the video, we no longer now are adding things to computers to make them accessible, like some of the mobile devices now, because of touch access, they're just accessible off the shelf, which is making a huge difference. So then if we're looking at our tablets and our phones, we look at an easier way to use them. So outside of the touch screens, so the development of styluses, and these can be adapted, and they just give you more accuracy. Your touchscreen gloves, again, they allow to give you more accuracy, but they also assist with, you know, that to stop you of doing accidental selections on the screens. The use then of angled cases, so again, they're for your hand positioning to make sure that you're at the right angle. Mounting, so you've got varied mounts for varied different devices. And then I suppose it depends on where you want to use your device. Do you want it mounted at, you know, at your desk, or maybe for more mobile use, so I mounted onto your wheelchair. The inbuilt accessibility features we're going to go into a little bit more in a while, but there's a range of inbuilt accessibility features in iOS, in Windows, and in Android. And then alternative access, and we also have a look at that. So there's other access ways or other means of access to your device. So like your joystick control, you can attach a keyboard, a switch, right through to your eye gaze. So we'll have a look, drill down a bit more, I think, into our accessibility features. So I suppose AT you already are using. So we all use AT every day, assistive tech. We may not realize we're using it, but we've all moved, probably a lot of us, from our diaries to organizational tools like our calendars on our phones, the clock, alarms, reminders, voice memos, notes. So they're just a few. Out and about, I think a lot of people use Google Maps now, public transport apps, the GPS apps, weather apps. For our entertainment, of course, then we've all our TV apps, we've YouTube, our podcasts are very important, Spotify for our music, and then of course we couldn't survive without our social media. So our Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. They're all really useful for connecting, and especially now more than ever. Then we have our reading apps, so Audible, Kindle, Goodreads, and BorrowBox. Staying in contact, your phone, text, email, WhatsApp, your FaceTime. And then, of course, again, now more than ever, our shopping apps. So your grocery apps, so your Super Value or your Tesco, and they've lovely features that when you put in your shopping list, they remember your shopping list. So next time you don't have to go through the whole list again to be selecting your shopping. And of course, the delivery, and some of these companies will now, well, they used to pre-COVID come in and put the shopping away and stuff for you. So your Just Eat for eating out, and even local restaurants now, they're all connected up as well, that you can order online. Health and fitness apps are becoming huge. Huge drive with the Apple phones and the Fitbits. And they're gone from originally just tracking your steps. Now they're tracking everything. They're tracking our breathing. They're tracking our temperature at night. They're tracking our sleeping. So they're really beneficial to, you know, keep a record if you were going to the doctor and you wanted to, you know, let them know what way your heart rate or stuff like that. They're really valuable that way. And then our money and our budgeting apps. And I suppose this is something as well, because of COVID, we're using less cash now. So our banking apps and Spindy and Revolut and our Google and Apple Pay and PayPal. So they're all being used a lot more now.
Yeah, just to add to what Mary's saying there, like over the last year, because we've been so restrictive in our movements, you know, having access to a lot of this stuff, like you can't go to the library anymore. So having things like Borrow Box is a huge benefit to everybody at the moment. Having things like Mary's mentioning Fitbits there, I suffer from insomnia, so I can keep track of my sleep with my Fitbits. So that's kind of helped me check my health, keep up with date with it as well, and adding in all those bits and kind of creating giving more information to ourselves so we can act on it as well.
Thanks, Juliann.
Oh, not wanting to move on. There we go.
So then we have in our iOSs and in our Androids, we've alternate access. So in the iOS, what I'm going to do is just go through a few of these here. And what I'll do then is I'll share my screen and I'll just show you one or two. I suppose the first thing is voice control. We have Siri on the iPhone, and I'll just demonstrate that there. So I'll just share my screen there. So you can see my screen there. So, hey Siri, set an alarm for 1 minute.
Sorry, you might just need to hit start sharing at the bottom of the screen there, Mary.
Is this sharing now?
That's it, yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. So, hey Siri, set an alarm for 1 minute.
Your 11:53 a.m. alarm is already on.
So it's already, she's telling me I'm already set up. So that's my first alarm gone there.
Sorry, come back to the beginning, have I?
So then you've got your voiceover, you've got spoken content, touch mouse, guided access, switch access, and eye gaze. So I'll just go into one or two more of those features there. So can you see my screen there?
Yes.
So I'm just going to accessibility. So voiceover, so that'll read what's on the screen if I switch that on. But what I'm going to go down here is I'm just going to go down to switch control. I'm just going to switch that on. And you can see there that it's scanning for me. And what I've here is I have a switch. So you can see there that when I select the switch by tapping on it, it is So it's going into, so it's scanning row by row first, and then it's scanning square by square. So I'm just going to go into housemate. Just so you can see. So it opens up housemate, and again, it's scanning. And here I have the controls to my CD player. And if I want to put the volume up, so I can fast forward or rewind. So it's just not connected to my housemate at the moment. So that's to give you an idea of how you can use a switch with your iOS devices. So that switch, it's an iSwitch, and it's set up via Bluetooth. And you can set that up with your iPhone or your iPad. And it also has 2 little ports on it. So you can add 2 more switches to it. So I don't know if you can see that there. So it has 2 ports. So you can add 2 more external switches to that. So that's switch access. And I suppose another nice feature on the iPhones that is just new since iOS 13 is there is a feature called back tap. So if I go down here into touch, and if I go down to the very bottom, I can select back tap. And here I can decide on double tap or triple tap. So I'm going to go into double tap, and it's already set up for volume down. So I might leave it on that, and I'll come out. So if I double tap the back of my phone, there you go. It's lowering, it's turning down my TV, or sorry, turning down my volume on my phone. I don't know if you can see that there.
Yeah,
is it popping up?
Yeah, it's popping up briefly, yeah.
So that's really useful for that if you want to just quick access to turning up and down the volume. What it's also really useful for is for if you want to take photos just using the back tap. So if you just wanted to take a screenshot, so again, it's after taking a photo there. So you can set that up to double tap or triple tap, but it's a nice feature that is new. I think they're the 3 main features I was to show on accessibility there.
Yeah.
I'll pass over to you, Juliann, for the Android options.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to talk about similar things that are available on Android. I won't re-demonstrate stuff Mary has shown already, but she was showing Hey Siri there, for example. On Google, you can set it up and say, Hey Google, and do similar stuff. So for example, I'll show it in 1 second. I'll just go through some of these here. So you can do things like, as Mary was saying, setting alarms. You can even use your voice then to do other things as well, such as find out information from the web. So what time is the next train from Bray to Connolly Station, for example. Or you could check the weather. You can also do things like sending WhatsApp messages and things like that as well. So you simply say, Hey Google, WhatsApp text message. Oops, my phone's already listening to me. I heard a little beep. And get it to send those text messages. As well as making video calls and things like that. So you don't even need to pick up your phone. So it takes away the pressure of using the touch screen and trying to hit things exactly. Because we all know when you're lying in bed, it's sometimes more difficult to access the phone. Using your voice might be an easier way in that particular situation. We also have TalkBack, which is designed as a screen reading software for people who are visually impaired. So it will tell you what your finger's on the screen if you can't see the icons, and gives you a method of opening apps and navigating your way around them. Select to speak option there is designed for people with, not just people with literacy difficulties, people who just don't want to read from the screen for whatever reason. I'd say it might be literacy difficulties. It could be a time issue. You might be multitasking and want to read a web page while cooking dinner. So that select to speak is a really nice option as well. There's lots of things you can change around dexterity and interaction. So for example, if anybody has a tremor in their fingers, you can change how sensitive the screen is. The ones I'm going to just demonstrate today are adding an alternative mouse to your Android, and I'm also going to talk about head control here for Android. And it's a free app that I'm going to demonstrate today. It's one you need to download. A lot of these accessibility features you might need to download. Sorry, the first item on the list up there, the Android Accessibility Suite. You'll find it in the Play Store, and that'll give you access to a lot of these alternative ways of accessing. I'm not going to demonstrate switch access today. You've kind of seen Mary doing it with iOS there. It's very similar in Android as well. So I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, sorry. And hopefully this should come up. I'll retry. Okay, that's not gonna, let me just restart this. I'm just gonna see if it was working just before we came on air, as we say. And of course it doesn't want to work. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, hopefully you can see that now. Yep. So as I say, I'm just going into my settings here and just wanted to show you a couple of things in here. As I say, if you go scroll down, you'll find towards the bottom of the screen here, accessibility. And as I say, you can download the accessibility suite. There's a huge amount of different options within that as well. Plus you can also install different services as well. So just what I want to show you today, I'm just going to show you adding in a separate mouse. So I'm just using a standard mouse here today. For somebody who might be using a touchscreen and find it too fiddly, you can get various options like this is a tiny USB to USB-C adapter, which will go into the charging port of my my phone, and then I can plug in an external mouse. So as I plug this in, you will now notice that a cursor has popped up on screen on my phone. So I can use this to interact with my phone, click into various options. Let's see, it's recommending dark mode to me for some reason. And allows me to use an external mouse. I'll show you some pictures of alternative mice in a second, but just to show you that this is an option. So even if hand function isn't great, you could possibly look at alternative mice as well, such as head mice or joystick mice, lots of different options there. The other one I wanted to show you today is one called the EVA facial mouse. And what this does is it allows you to use your head and using the inbuilt camera in your phone to control your phone. So for example, I'm turning this on here and allow. And you'll notice at the top of the screen, we get a little red box or a little green box is just turned green up there. And now as I move my head, you can see it's moving the cursor on screen. I should probably hold up my hands to show that this is not me doing this with my hands. So it allows you to navigate across various things. If I come down to the bottom left down here, you'll see it's, as it clicks on something, there's a dot that kind of shrinks. And it's allowing me to come out to my home screen now. So for example, if I wanted to go into an app, I'm going to be showing you Housemate a little bit later on, but again, just to show you a quick preview. If I dwell on it, it'll open that app. If I want to pause this, if I'm watching a video, you simply go up to the green at the top of the screen that's surrounding my camera, and that should pause it. And it's deciding not to pause today. Let me just go down to the bottom of the screen. And I can pause there, I can put it into rest mode. And it's paused now, so you can probably see a shadow of a mouse running around the screen now, but it's not actually clicking or dwelling on anything. The way this works, if you focus the mouse cursor on something for 1 second or whatever, you can change the settings there, it will select it for you. So really nice option for somebody who has good head control, but maybe not good hand control. And again, lots of options around that one there. So just going back to our presentation. Yeah, so we talked about those there. Sorry, the mice, for example, that can be used. Oh, sorry, these I just popped the options there. The little icon up here at the top, the little black one, that's the one I was using today. It just allows me to plug in an external mouse, the one I was showing initially. If you've got an older iOS device, you can use what's called a camera connection kit. But I think most newer iPhones nowadays are going with the USB-C connection. So just some of the alternative mice out there. Again, just to be familiar, there's touchpad mice. This is what you get on your laptop screen. So all you need is to be able to move one finger and move it around. Trackball mice are really good for anybody who's got RSI injuries or any issues with making big movements from their shoulders, for example, because the mouse stays in one place and you're just moving your fingers on the top of the ball there. Similar with the joystick. This is, sorry, the first two I've just talked about there, they're mainstream options. The third one, the one in the middle of the screen there, that's a joystick mouse. That's slightly more specialized, so unfortunately a little bit more costly as well. But again, gives you joystick control of your mouse. So that could be, all of these can be attached to your computer as well as to your tablet or your phone, by the way. So if somebody needs an alternative way. The one in the top right is what's called a finger mouse. Really nice, really lightweight. It kind of sits in your hand as well, so you don't need a desk surface. So I've got a few techie friends who like this for controlling their TV if they've got an Android box attached to their TV. Although this one is not wireless. I think you can get a wireless version of it. And the last one down there, for anybody who's using a powered wheelchair, you might have the option built into your powered wheelchair controls to use your joystick as a mouse as well. So it's just simply a change of mode. You do need to have Bluetooth built into your joystick. If anybody has any questions around that, we can try answer it or try figure out if you have that option there. And it just allows you to use the same device to control your computer cursor as you do your wheelchair. So then just talk us to some other apps that might be useful for you out there to know about. Microsoft Lens, for example, is an app that kind of helps you take photographs of text and objects and helps identify them. Seeing AI, which Mary's going to demonstrate in 1 second. Do you want to demonstrate that now, Mary?
I can.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Is that sharing there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Seeing AI app for iOS. And this is a free app. So the nice thing about this is once you hover over either text or a barcode or if you're meeting somebody, it'll identify it for you. So just to give you an idea. So just to start with some text. So I have a document here.
On to person on and as a back or at a you at the training. Kneeling as if you mobility issues you're also excuse yourself from that part of training. And or think you be pregnant. You may wish to be tutor if none of the above applies to you. Understand that I will be asked. Product.
So could you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then if I move it onto the barcode selection, this tells me if I'm shopping and if I want to check what.
Processing. Engine harmonic balancer act Delco GM original equipment.
So I'll try another one there.
Product.
So basically this will scan the product for you. So really useful if for people with a visual impairment.
Uncle Ben's classic whole grain rice 250G.
So it tells me exactly what it is, and I'll try just one more. So it has a range of, can identify a range of different barcodes just by hovering over it, the camera.
Doesn't want to do that one.
Doesn't like this product.
Processing. Take the day off stretched canvas.
So not very accurate there with that. We'll try it with money. So
Currency. €5.
okay, so it's pretty good with currency. And the other thing is that it'll identify a person. So you can, you can set it up that you can add photos into it and name the person, and it'll identify that person then for you. So when you put the camera up to that person, it'll say who they are. So we did set up with Juliann already.
One face near bottom left, 1 meters away.
So it's
One face, 0 faces.
It will tell you who the person is. You can scan that in, or it'll give you a description of the person.
Please don't bring up my age again, Mary.
No, I won't. So it's really useful, I suppose, something else, if you're in a shop and if you want to scan your receipt afterwards, it'll read what's on your receipt and stuff like that. So it's really nice. It's free. So with a little playing around with, you get used to it. It's all, I suppose it's just the different angles and stuff. But for the money, for identifying the money and reading documents and stuff, it's really handy.
Yeah. There's lots of other apps out there, like mouse emulator apps that allow you to use your mobile phone as a touchpad and mouse for your computer. Really nice if somebody doesn't has difficulty getting up to a computer desk, the computer's table's at the wrong height or anything like that. Using a mouse emulator app can be really good. Google Translate, a lot of us know that one already, translating into different languages for us both ways. I wanted to demonstrate just Live Transcribe. This is an Android app. The kind of equivalent for iOS devices is Otter AI. You may have come across this because a lot of promotion went into it when we all started wearing masks. A lot of people who are hard of hearing or rely on lip reading were having a hard time understanding people. So the Live Transcribe, it was there before, but just kind of got this nice surgence of awareness about it, I suppose, once it came to things like that and when people's faces were no longer visible. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. It works reasonably well, to be quite honest. So I'm just going to open it up here on my phone. And as you can see, it is typing as I talk. It's fairly well keeping up with me. it's kind of ignoring when I say and so it's trying to get down the content of what I'm saying and not really all the interjections that I use. So it's quite accurate. I won't say it's 100% accurate. You can see there it's made a slight error in that one, but just to show you a few of the things that it can do as well. I'm just going to pause it actually listening to me so you can actually see things. I can go back to my conversation. It will kind of identify if a second person is talking as well. So really handy if you have memory issues, you know, you're in at the doctor and the doctor is giving you instructions, take this tablet 3 times a day for 4 days, and you go home and you're kind of going, is that 4 times a day for 3 days? Or you can kind of check back in. Obviously get somebody's permission before you use this app as well. If you're talking with somebody in a different language, so for example, I've got this set up in German as well, so it will understand German. You can go in and type in your reply for somebody who may not be able to speak out. Typing in your reply here allows the conversation to continue as well. Really handy app, free to use. You can change this, you can see there, change the size of the text. You can search a transcription for a keyword that somebody used, and so also handy for note taking and stuff like that. So yes, I'm sorry, the other thing I wanted to show you was for anybody who's, yes, sorry, here under events, just in the middle of the screen, you can get it to vibrate when somebody's name is spoken. So if you're in a meeting and you're kind of dozing off, you can turn this on, put in your own name there, and it'll vibrate slightly when your own name is mentioned. So a handy one to know about, but it'll also show sound labels for different things like laughter, applause, alarms going off. So it kind of is really good information for people who might be hard of hearing as well. So that's just, that is Live Transcribe. Otter AI does a similar thing for iOS devices. Also using, I found myself using Headspace an awful lot recently, and there's lots of other calm, white noise apps, things like that, just to kind of give yourself a bit of a break from life. I think we all need it at the moment. And things like alarm alerts, as I mentioned there, Live Transcribe does it, but other, you can get standalone apps that will listen out for sounds in your environment and alert you to them. My current favorite app is one called Bird Nerd that listens to bird sounds and identifies them for you. So lots of apps out there that might be of use to people to different degrees. I don't know if anybody else wants to know that was a blackbird singing in your garden at 5 a.m. So we're going to move into kind of talking more about home controls and smart homes now. I realize I'm running a little bit behind time here, so we'll try and pick up the speed a tiny bit as well. So when we talk about smart homes, we're going to talk kind of in 2 different things, 2 different areas. What you can control, so what devices in your house you can control, and how you can control them. So there's kind of 2 separate elements to this. So in our smart homes, things that you can control include household appliances, so things like lights, fans, ventilation, washing machines. I think, Mary, you were saying you got a new washing machine with Wi-Fi accessibility on it. Entertainment controls, so things like your TV, controlling radios and things like that through other devices. Heating and ventilation, so we're going to talk about different apps there that might be useful. Lighting and security as well. So how you can control. So there's often, we talk about standalone or dumb devices, and then we talk about smart devices. So standalone devices, they often use individual remotes, or they use things like infrared to control them. So, but they're not connected up to your Wi-Fi. So your TV remote would be a really good example of this, just being able to access it directly. Smart devices tend to use third-party devices, like using the Alexa, the Google Home, one of those devices, and then using something like infrared, radio, Wi-Fi to send those commands, those signals to other devices in your home. So I just wanted to show you 1 or 2 of these kind of dumb devices and more smarter devices, for want of a better phrase. The first one I've just put up there is remote control sockets. These are cheap and cheerful. You'll often see them on special in Aldi or Lidl. The idea is that you have these little sockets. So for example, I've got one here, and you plug that into your wall and then plug your device into that. And what this does is then allows you to control that device with a little remote control, for example. So if you take a look behind me, yeah, I'm going the right way. If I press the button here, you'll see my fan is turning on. If I press the button beside it, it's turning it off. So it's not connected up to Wi-Fi. So if your internet goes down, this will still work. If you have the ability to use little devices, buttons like this, you can transfer them onto other remote controls as well. They're usually learnable. So if you have a different remote or a different system, you can get it to learn these. I was hoping to be able to show you a smart system, but it's decided not to work today. But these ones, for example, the Wemo sockets, again, similar idea. You plug these into the wall and then you plug your device into these, and then you can use them through something like an Alexa or a Google Home or an Apple HomePod. And the idea would be to say, Echo, turn on the fan.
Did you mean first light?
No, it hasn't picked it up because it wouldn't set up for me today, but it'll be a simple thing as saying a command like that. And you label your devices. So I was going to say fan there. You could have it for lights. You could have it for your kettle, and you want to plug in. So, do you want to talk about the remotes, Mary?
Yeah, so there's a varied amount of remote controls as well that you can adapt your television remote control to. You can teach these remote controls any of the actions that your regular remote control for your TV or your CD player will do. So the first one there is the Sika one. So this is a lovely remote control. So it's got nice large buttons. It's got 6 buttons and it's infrared, and these are relatively cheap. So they come in at about €20. So that's just one type, and this is the other one. And again, they just simplify the whole, just being able to change the channels and volume up and down, basically, is what's on these remote controls. Then you have something like the 2X, which looks like this. So again, this is infrared, and you can teach your own remote control from your TV. Teach this the infrared codes for it. And the nice thing about this one is that it has the option that it can be attached. You can attach a switch to it. So I'll attach a switch here. Next channel. So there, once I click the switch, sound on, off. So you can switch on and off the sound. You can move up and down to your channels just by using the switch. And then there's this one. Again, it's an IR remote, and this is from AbleNet. And again, this is a lovely one. It's got nice large features. You can add your switches to it, and this also has the ability to scan as well, which is a really nice feature. So it can scan through each of the options for you, and you select then by hitting your switch. So they're the kind of main ones that are kind of off the shelf and relatively cheap. I suppose the Sika one, like I said, they start from under €20, and I suppose right up to your IR, the final one there that I showed you, and they're up and around €200. But I suppose they do a lot more, and they can also be mounted as well. So, and I think you're going to mention there about the housemate, are you, Juliann?
I am. And oh, where's my screen gone? Sugar, sorry. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and let's see, share screen, and just gone to sleep on me. I was just going to demonstrate the housemate, which is the app down here. And the idea behind this is that I'll just have to talk you through it on screen. It'll take me a few minutes to set back up. It's an app that connects to a piece of hardware. So the hardware is the housemate kind of transmitter. Sorry. So it's a little kind of small box again. This can be situated close by you. It doesn't have to be directly attached to the phone or anything like that. It does need to be charged up every now and again though. So, and the idea is with your phone, you have an app there and you can choose what you want to control. So when we showed it up on the screen there earlier on, you might have caught a glimpse of it. You can do things like controlling your TV or your CD music system if people are still using those there, but it'll also allow you to access more specialized controls as well. So if you've got door openers or something like that, more high tech in your house, you can also control it through these. It can be used through touch screen on your phone. You saw Mary demonstrating the switch access on it earlier on as well. So it can be accessed a few different ways as well. Just to be aware of that. Just want to talk a little bit about light, heat and ventilation as well, because this is one of the things we get asked about a bit. So for example, light controls, there's lots of different ways that you can control lights. So for example, I've got my Alexa behind me set up with a Philips Hue bulb. So you can see that the picture of the Philips Hue there on screen. Looks like a normal standard bulb, screwy in, or you can get the bayonet ones that you push down and twist in as well. So they come in various different light intensities as well. And the idea is that then you can either use the Philips Hue app on your phone to turn it on and off, which is really handy because you might not even be in your home and you can turn on the lights. So if you've got security issues, you can turn it on. Or maybe you want to set up the house before you walk in the door. But for example, I've got mine set up with my Alexa. Sorry, my Alexa responds to the word echo for some reason. I don't know why we set it up that way, but we did. So echo, turn on first light.
Okay.
So it's called first light in my house because it's the only light bulb. So when it was setting it up, but you can rename that easily to bedroom light, sitting room light. You can plug these lights into your ceiling light as well. If you have multiple lights, you do need what's called the bridge, which is that kind of square box that's shown on screen there. Just to be aware of that. Heating controls, again, you might have heard of some of these, Nest, Hive, Ember. There's lots of different variations out there. I'll be quite honest, I think Nest and Hive are the better options because they'll integrate with more systems. So for example, you can tell your Alexa to turn on the heating or increase the room temperature to 22 degrees if you've got a sensor in your room, all these kind of things. I was going to demonstrate Ember, but because my phone has decided to switch off there, I'll leave that one for now. But you can control lots of different elements through these heating systems as well. Just also want to mention window and door openers, or sorry, blind open and curtain openers. This has been an eye-opener. Years ago, I'll show you a picture in a minute of the kind of old-fashioned window openers. They used to cost a couple of $1,000 to install one of them in your home, and they were big and clunky, and there was a lot of, you had to run wires to them. There was a lot involved in setting up window openers. The one you see here on the main screen, kind of, you can see it's kind of got a chain link attached to the window and it's pushing that out. This one costs a couple of $100. So very cheap and cheerful. It will work with your app on your phone or on your tablet, or again, you can use your smart speaker like your Alexa or your Google Home to control it as well. The one I really like on the bottom right hand side there is a blind opener, and you can kind of see there you got the beaded pull string of a blind run through this, so you can use any blind you like as long as it has that beaded cord. Runs it in through this little engine. Some of these will actually work. You have a little solar panel you stick up on the window, so you don't even have to run wires to it. Again, you're talking about €100, €150 for one of these, as opposed to maybe a couple of thousand to get what would have been the standard installed. Again, you can simply say, Alexa, open my blind, close my blind, and it will control these as well. So these, as I say, were the more standard operational systems. Some of these are...
Sorry, Julianne.
Yeah, sorry.
Not to interrupt you, just your screen actually isn't sharing, so we can't see that at the moment.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're all right. Just
oh, it's telling me I'm screen sharing. Sorry.
Yeah,
oh,
we just have
sorry.
Please enable screen access. All right.
Can you see
Brilliant.
now?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Sorry, just go back there. That was the Philips Hue light bulbs and the bridge at the top there. As I say, if you've got multiple light bulbs, you need that. This is a window opener with the chain there that's kind of pushing. It's a rigid chain that pushes the window outwards, and the beaded blind pull cord attached to a little motor there. And as I was saying, these are the more traditional options. The door opener there might still be required in certain situations if somebody needs the door to close behind them themselves. But if somebody is able to push the door once the door is released, you can often get away with the cheaper option. You also have things like crank handles or using extended poles there as well to open windows. They're good old-fashioned ways and they work. A lot of these newer ways, they do rely on good Wi-Fi access. So if you're in a dodgy area where your Wi-Fi might just fall off every now and again, it could put you in a precarious situation. So it's one of those things you just kind of need to weigh up and have an alternative maybe to get around it. So for example, having an alternative way to open your door before going out. So just talking very briefly here about home security, door and lock openers. There's a lot of smart locks out there now. For example, Yale have one that's about €250. So pricey, but not hugely outside a good lock range. And they can be usually opened up in a few different ways. You can kind of see a picture here. You can use a fob to open them. You can use a PIN code. You can use an app on your phone. And a lot of them still have the traditional put in your key and turn it option as well. So lots of options there. Intercoms, being able to see who's at your door. Mary will demonstrate this now in 1 minute. And video doorbells. The Ring one, for example, is really good for security. You can see who's at the door, talk to them. Don't have to let them in, but it looks like somebody's in the house, but you could actually be in Australia and still talking to them through your Ring doorbell. And Wi-Fi cameras, again, really good for security if you have them outside. You can also have them inside to see if there's anything happening. If, for example, you're sharing a home with a vulnerable person, that you can see if they're moving around the house. Obviously, there's an issue there. You might need to just check in and make sure you have permission for the installation of a camera there. It could be seen as an invasion of privacy. But I'll just let Mary demonstrate these.
So the first one there I'll demonstrate is the Ring doorbell. So if I go into the Ring, so that's my front door there. So that's outside my house. So if I tap into it and increase the screen, I can tap to go live. So it's just activating the device there. So I can have a look and see who's at the door when the doorbell rings, or I can zoom in and I can also talk to them. I can say hello and see who's out there before I let them in. So that's the Ring, and it's relatively easy enough to set up, and it can be attached onto your existing doorbell. It's just I've taken a photo there for me, to your existing doorbell, or it can be charged up as well. So you've got two options there. The other one then is the Epicam, and that's something that's relatively cheap. These are like under €50. So again, I can be at work and I can be checking up what's happening in my sitting room. So I can move it around there and I can have a look. Is that moving relatively quickly? And again, I can select the microphone here and I can check in if there's somebody at home that I want to check in on. So that's that one. Is that okay, Juliann?
Yeah. So hopefully this is sharing again for you now. As a privacy concern there, just to check with the person that you're okay with the camera being in a room, maybe like the hallway, that you can check and see if somebody's passed through every now and again, just to make sure they're still moving around the place. Wouldn't really recommend it in a bedroom, bathroom, obviously, for very obvious reasons. Sorry. And sorry, I meant to say it there. A lot of the smart speakers, if you've got multiple ones around your house, you can use them to drop in. So for example, you could have one in your sitting room and you could drop in on the one in your kitchen. So to have a conversation and use it as an alert system or a call system as well. Really handy option to have. You can also set them up that they can drop in on named devices elsewhere. So you could have it in a relative's house and check in on them and see how they're doing, for example. Just safety when out and about. Just want to briefly talk about this. GPS built into phones, and you can get apps that track. Again, it's built into WhatsApp now, I think. You can send a WhatsApp notification of where you're at. So somebody, for example, if you're coming home after a night out, somebody can track you and make sure you get home okay, and you can turn it off afterwards. Very easy one to set up. A lot of devices now will have SOS buttons. You'll probably notice that on your own phones. For example, I've got one of the Doro phones here. So this is a simplified phone. This is the 710, so it has kind of the buttons there, but it's semi-smart. You can access Facebook and WhatsApp through this one as well. But on the back there, they have an SOS button that if you press it, it will ring a certain predetermined set of numbers. I think you can put in 5 numbers there, and it'll ring each one in turn until somebody picks up. GPS watches, a lot of them out there. Route finder apps, so Google Maps, really good one to know about. Way to Be, really nice app because it'll show up any barriers, any things left on the road and like that, roadworks along the way. So it'll show those up so you can plan your route accordingly. Access Earth, I don't know if anybody's come across that one. It's run by a guy, and I've forgotten his name. He's an Irish guy who set up Access Earth, and it's about crowdsourcing information on places that are accessible. So you can log in, update, check out places. Is this restaurant, does it have a wheelchair accessible toilet? Does it have steps going down? Things like that, and you can get a bit of information about the place as well, the location. And then we have our traditional monitoring system. So I'll skip over this and just want to leave the video for another time, if that's all right, because I do realize we've gone completely over. Just want to very briefly mention funding, because there is a few things here. Unfortunately, funding for assistive technology can be quite difficult to get hold of. If you're working, there is the Workplace and Equipment and Adaptation Grant from the Department of Employee Affairs and Social Protection. So you can get money, a maximum grant of about 6,500 on that. So that can cover things like having automatic doors. It can cover having different mouse or keyboard, having speech recognition software on a computer for work, magnifiers if you need them for vision, high-low desks if you need to have desks at different heights, for example, to accommodate wheelchairs or different chairs that people are sitting in along the way as well. Wage subsidy scheme, so it's a kind of an incentive to employers to employ people with a disability. The retention grant, again, allows people to retain employees, so doing things like identifying accommodation or training and kind of helping to find either getting back into the same position in the company or looking at alternative positions within the company. The personal reader grant, designed for people with visual impairment, so they kind of get access to somebody to read for them. I don't think many people take that up anymore because there's apps like Seeing AI that Mary was demonstrating earlier on. So I'm not sure how much that's used anymore, but interesting one to know about all the same. In your home, you've got the Home Adaptation Grant, the Housing Adaptation Grant, that's usually controlled by an occupational therapist. Not controlled, sorry, that was a bad use of words there. It's usually accessed through an occupational therapist. And there's also the Mobility Aids Grant scheme as well. So for minor repair works to increase mobility around your home. So that sometimes they take into account things like smart home equipment. So it cuts down on the need to navigate in and out of a certain area. For example, if your heating controls are at the back of the hot press, for example, having heating controls on an app might make much more sense. So things like that as well. Had some success in the past with using the community welfare exceptional needs payment for once-off things, but it is means tested and you can't access it if you're working full-time or in education. And then we find a lot of people looking to do it through things like crowdfunding or looking at one-off grants that come around. For example, the Red Cross did a COVID-19 fund there last year. That was snapped up in a hot minute, to be quite honest with you. But check out and see if there is other grants becoming available. I think COVID has made the HSE sit up and make them very aware of what can be achieved through technology. So hopefully we'll see a lot more investment in this area in the years to come. So yeah, there are mine and Mary's email addresses. I do apologize for going over time, but if there's questions, we're happy to take them now, or if you want to take down our email addresses, they'll be on the handout. Actually, Philippa has the handout that should be able to send on to everybody as well. I just want to say thank you. And
Thank you.
Stop sharing the
Brilliant.
screen.
That was fantastic, ladies. I think I need David to start my video as he posts. But no, that's great. There's so much out there, and I suppose you could nearly spend a whole hour or two just looking at the remotes or the switches alone. You know, there's a lot out there, but it's great just to kind of get a feel for it. As I say, a lot of people probably don't realize that they use assistive technology, as you said. Things like the Fitbits, even like Google Home and Google Nest, as you say, they're a lot more available and affordable now for the mainstream. So it's great, and I'm intrigued the Edicam one. I'd love to see if someone's doing the wash up in the kitchen while I'm in the office. Fantastic for that, if nothing else. But we did have a few questions come through while we were there.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to go back up to the start, and there we go. So Bernard, so is a power chair user and is about to renovate their house. Any ideas on the best smart home tech? I hear about Nest, Echo Dot, etc.
Yeah, Nest is kind of heating controls. Definitely would recommend that. It's really handy, and as I say, a lot of the time these controls are put in the back of a press or on the wall behind a counter surface, so getting to them can be quite difficult. It's also very handy if you're out and about and wanted to turn on your heating before you get home as well. So Nest is a really good one. A lot of the others can be retrospectively fitted, but if you're getting things, I don't know if you're renovating, sorry, you did say that there, like we were talking about those Wi-Fi sockets and using things like the Philips Hue light bulbs and things like that. A lot of them can be put in without huge amount of wiring or prep work done. So like they're just ordinary light bulbs to just screw in. You might need that Philips bridge to, if you're having multiple light bulbs, so you can kind of control which ones are going on and off. Really nice thing is if you kind of set these up through Google Home and Echo, one of those devices is you can set up what's called, what are they called? They're not recipes, but you can kind of have a getting up in the morning one, so it'll turn on the lights for you. It might turn on the TV. For example, my Echo in the morning, if I say good morning to it, it will give me the news headlines. It used to tell me the traffic into the office when I used to be traveling in and out, you know, if there was any accidents on the M50, and it also tell me the weather for the day. So you can kind of group things together, so it can be quite nice and pull a lot of stuff together that way.
Yeah, brilliant. And even as you said, having the Google Home, I know we have it ourselves, so great for setting alarms, or you have 2 different things on in the oven with different times. You know, very simple things, but like if that with memory loss or anything, they can be really just useful little bits to have.
Yep, definitely.
I have another question in here. Is there an app you would know of or recommend for wheelchair users in particular that is easy to use and keeps track of their fitness, diet, routine, exercise?
The one that's come to mind for me, and it's not a specialist app at all, is MyFitnessPal. Really nice app. Now you do have to put in the information, but it does a lot of nice things, like you can scan barcodes, and you know, I ate half a packet of this, and it will kind of, you put in those 0.5 of a packet of this, and it will pull the calories for you if you're kind of keeping an eye on that side of things on diet. It'll also calculate things like protein, carbohydrates and fats. I think it goes into a lot more detail than that. It will connect in with your Fitbit, for example. So if you are doing exercise, it would kind of keep an eye on the calories burnt. Like mine just, like even your baseline calories, this will keep an account on your baseline calories before you even do any major exercise. So mainstream stuff, but might help. I don't know if those are ones you've come across before, but yeah.
I don't know if there's any more. If anyone else has any questions they want to pop in there, or we just have a comment saying thank you, great webinar, a lot of info, so grateful, and will we share on the website? Absolutely. As Juliann mentioned, I have a copy of the PowerPoint, so if anyone wants a copy of that, you can get in touch with me afterwards and I can email it out to you. And we'll also be putting this webinar up on our website. So you'll be able to see in our video section. And along with that, you'll be able to see any of the upcoming webinars and the event section as well. Just so better get that plug in or I'll be shot. But no, I just want to say an absolute huge thank you to you, Juliann, and you, Mary. Great to have someone else down in the kingdom. I really appreciate it. As I said, there's just an infinite amount there, but and it's constantly changing. So it's great to have some info. And like that, the phones I think we take for granted a lot of the time. We can just get so much there, and I'll definitely be messing around this evening, testing it all out. Yeah, just a huge thank you, and thank you for everyone for joining us as well. And particularly anyone new, great to have you here with us. And
I think there's a couple of hands raised there. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think here we go. 3 participants have a raised hand. So Oliver, do you have a question for us? Oh, want to put it in the chat?
Yeah, Oliver, you can talk there now, if you.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself, Ollie, if you want to talk. I'm just trying to unmute you if I can.
Yeah, I'm just trying to unmute as well, but
so, Ollie, you have yourself muted there, so you can't actually. You need to click the microphone down in the bottom left-hand side of your screen.
No, I have no question, Dave.
Okay,
yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
Want to make sure we didn't miss anybody.
That's all right. Fun is probably me as well, so don't worry about that one.
Yeah, so today we're kind of concentrating in on smartphones and smart homes, but if anybody wants information on maybe technology for work, technology for education, other areas of your home or leisure or anything like that, please do get in contact.
Yeah, that's great. And as I said, it might have sparked some thoughts there for people. So you might be thinking of things in the coming days or weeks. So do feel free to get in touch, either myself or David, and we can get in touch with the experts here and follow up with you. And just want to say a huge thank you again. It was really great to have you. It's such an interesting topic and always growing. So great to have you. So huge thanks.
Thanks so much, Philippa. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Juliann.
All right, guys. We'll see you all soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.